I no longer think Snapchat shows are worth the time or worth the hype. Now, don't get me wrong, Snapchat shows are without a doubt one of the best ways to make money online through social media, but after getting hands-on experience with my very own Snapchat show over the past 2 months, I'm no longer recommending anyone in content creation or aspiring content creation to go for a Snapchat show. Honestly, there's so many reasons for it, and I'll be laying out every single reason within this video. But also at the end of the video, I'm going to explain what my next step is for content automation and what I think is going to be the most lucrative way to make money online in 2024. So for those who are new to the channel or just not aware of how I got started in Snapchat and specifically Snapchat shows, about 2 months back, I had made a connection through my Discord server with somebody who already had an approved show, and they were actually selling panels but wanted to get more into Snapchat shows and making their own shows. And this connection set me up to make my very own show where I was going to be recording the show, I was going to be researching for the show, I was going to be doing the script writing, the editing, I was going to be doing everything for this show, but it was going to be completely all in my hands. So I essentially had my very own Snapchat show, although I just didn't own 100% of the rights to the show. Now with that being said, this Snapchat show, although a blessing because I can make a ton of content for you guys, especially the Kingdom Club, I could give a behind the scenes look of how a Snapchat show works. And if you are curious in joining the Kingdom Club, I'll have the link down below to do so. But despite all the good in this Snapchat show, how much money you could earn within it, how easy it is to get videos with a ton of views just due to the fact that there's not a lot of competition on Snapchat shows, and a whole bunch of more pros with Snapchat shows, all of that, oh my god, there's so many sides of Snapchat shows and why I personally wouldn't really recommend it in 2023 going into 2024. So I talk about this a lot more in depth on the Kingdom Club, but long story short, my Snapchat show experience has not been smooth sailing. And this is just because of the amount of BS I have had to go through with content guidelines within the Snapchat show program. It is absolutely ridiculous. It is so much worse than YouTube, which is something I never thought I would ever say because I have had so many issues with the YouTube guideline system, but the Snapchat one is just 10 times worse. It is awful. And this is one of the biggest reasons as to why I'm no longer recommending everyone to try and get their own Snapchat show, because you are going to lose all of your hair by the end of it. You are going to go completely gray and then your hair is going to fall out, because dealing with these guidelines is the most frustrating thing imaginable. But it's not just me who's dealing with it, it's everybody who creates Snapchat shows. So I'm not saying that Snapchat is out to get me and my personal show and my partner. They're just out to get us. No, they're out to get every single creator except for the massive big corporations and companies. And I know this because the Snapchat show creator economy is so small. There are very few people that are behind the scenes, and we all share the same frustrations. Now keep in mind, I've dealt with some BS, but some of the people I have talked to, oh my god, the things they've had to go through, their videos getting completely removed, having violations on videos that should not be violated. I could list a million examples, but I'll just list a few just to give you a gist on how ridiculous the Snapchat guidelines actually are. Okay, so the first crazy ridiculous one is that if you have words capitalized in your title, that could lead to a violation. So just take an example from my very own channel. If you see a video that I posted 12 days ago, how to easily make viral Snapchat spotlight videos. Now on YouTube, every YouTuber does this. You capitalize the most important words, and you'd think on Snapchat shows that would work the same way, but no, that can get you a violation. However, when big companies do it, Snapchat just closes their eyes and pretend it doesn't happen. Another violation, and is probably the most common, and I'm assuming it's what got our second show canned completely, is that if you talk about someone in a negative light that the Snapchat representatives or whoever's working behind Snapchat does not like or does not share the same opinion of, they have the right to just take down your video and say it is not following Snapchat's guidelines. Now, I can't share the exact episode in today's video that got violated, but I do have it posted on my Kingdom Club where all the Kingdom Club members can view. And oh my god, this video did not violate anyone. It was just reporting on a story on a Twitch streamer who was selling overpriced cookies. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. And because whoever at Snapchat must enjoy this creator or has some type of connection to this creator, they felt that this story was violating them and it didn't follow the guidelines. Even though in my episode I never said anything demeaning, I simply just made a news segment talking about a story about overpriced cookies. There was nothing bad about it. There are certain words you can't use on Snapchat shows like canceled or scammer, which okay, fine, I can follow guidelines, but the thing is there are other Snapchat shows that use those words and they never get a violation, but then when I use those words or other Snapchat shows use them, they get violations. It's never consistent on Snapchat, and that's why the biggest reason I don't recommend any more people going into Snapchat shows is because the guidelines are absolutely ridiculous. They're so unfair, and I hate to be like a conspiracy theorist, but it really seems like the Snapchat team is pushing some type of agenda on what content they deem okay and what content they don't, depending on which company or agency is uploading it. And that leads me into my second reason, and this is where my reasoning behind that theory is that I think the reason Snapchat is coming down so hard on some Snapchat shows but is incredibly lenient on others is because they want to change the direction of what content is actually being uploaded on Snapchat. So if you didn't know, a couple months ago you could make a Snapchat show about literally anything. It could be completely faceless, it could be the most garbage content ever, and Snapchat would allow it. But now they're incredibly strict with what content they allowed to be uploaded and deemed eligible as a Snapchat show. Now this sucks for people like me because I was making faceless shows, and although I would say the quality of my shows were pretty high quality, there was no face to it. And honestly, the idea of my show wasn't to bring over other creators on like TikTok and YouTube and have them set up their very own show. Idea is going to be very low. Now thankfully for me, my show was already approved that I was working on, so although the idea wasn't very unique and it was faceless, we could continue to upload videos until we got canned. But that leads me into my third reason, which is the payouts behind these videos or these episodes on my Snapchat show or in Snapchat shows in general. So when I first started, the original cut that Snapchat would take from your videos generating is 50%. So this means if your Snapchat show generated $1 million, you would only see 500,000 of those dollars completely cut in half. Now this seems like a massive cut for Snapchat to take, but it's actually pretty typical if you look at other social media platforms. So I didn't really have a problem with that, but very recently Snapchat has now upped that cut from 50% all the way to 70%. So everything you generate is now going to get cut by 70%, but it's going to get even worse because if you're working under an agency, which I assume 99% of people are who run Snapchat shows, you're looking at anywhere from 20% to 35%. And in my case, it was even higher than this. And although I won't talk about it here, I did talk about it on the Kingdom Club when it came to negotiating the contract and why I decided on signing it and the beneficial reasons for me. But going back to the earnings of Snapchat, I think it's kind of misleading online when people say, oh, I made $1 million with Snapchat. Maybe you generated $1 million, but you did not take home $1 million. And I'll admit, in my past videos, this is probably something I should have included, but honestly, it's something I didn't even realize until I started working on Snapchat shows myself and got a better understanding of how Snapchat shows work behind the scenes. So to just give you an idea of how much you can expect to make with a Snapchat show, let's say you have a Snap show that makes $100,000 a month, and keep in mind, this is a very good show if it's earning $100,000. After Snapchat takes their 70% cut, it is now going to be $30,000. Then your agency is going to be taking anywhere from like 20 to 35%, but let's just say on the lower end, they're taking 25%, now you're only left with $22,500, which, don't get me wrong, is fantastic for monthly earning. That's well over $100,000 earned a year. But I'd argue most Snapchat shows have additional expenses. They're usually outsourcing their editing, maybe script writing, maybe even the research. So you could potentially be bringing home way less than this. Thankfully, with my Snapchat show, I was going to be in charge of everything, so I wasn't outsourcing any of the work, whether it was editing, script writing, all of that was all done by me. So I was going to be able to take home all of the money after Snapchat and the agency got their cut. But unfortunately, I never got around to generating over $100,000 because, like I stated earlier in this video, I dealt with so much BS, guidelines, violations, just all of that, and eventually our show got canned. This is just due to too many violations on the show, and Snapchat just says, hey, you can no longer produce content for this show. There's a lot more that went into this violation, and after talking with a few other people who have had their own shows get canned, I've learned a lot more, and I'll be sharing it all in the Kingdom Club. But long story short, I'm no longer creating content for this particular show, but the good news is we already have another show in the works. It's just a matter of getting it approved, which seems to be such a difficult task, especially in December of 2023. So for those reasons, I no longer plan to spend as much time working on Snapchat shows going into 2024, but I do intend to spend a lot more on a new endeavor, and that is going to be TikTok, but specifically the TikTok shop. In my personal opinion, I think the TikTok shop has the highest earning potential out of any social media endeavor at the moment. I don't think enough people are looking into it or talking about it, so I do plan to make a ton of videos about the TikTok shop going into 2024. So if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.